Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. What is it today? The 19th today? The 19th of August. 2 weeks to go until we hit September. Praise the Lord. I am sweating to death over here. It was 37 degrees yesterday. And, you know, bring on autumn. That's all I can say. Right, we have a busy show today. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. Yesterday was charts. Yesterday was lots of data. Today is going to be more of a conversation about alt season. We're going to talk a little bit about ETFs. Why not? We're going to talk about Deliveroo. Not Deliveroo, Deliveroo. We're going to talk about what projects are likely to be struggling in August if the pattern continues. We're going to talk about 3 coins that you need to keep an eye out on. You need to look at also Arbitrum. We're We're going to talk about that. We don't really cover them very much. Price action really isn't there, but we're going to talk about them as well. And then we're going to finish with who is sponsored on their T-shirts by crypto sponsors. That's all we're going to talk about today. We've obviously got some X-Files. We'll look at the prices. Quiet day today, simply because yesterday is just so much information in 1 hour. It's hard to break it up. But anyway, lots of hellos. Good morning to Hidden, to Mags. Tariq is in chat. Good morning to you, sir. I hope you got the list of questions for tomorrow night. Danny is here and Manjeet is here. I hope you are all well. Tomorrow night is the quiz night. Now, most of you will know that we have not done the last few quizzes from the studio. And tomorrow night, we would dearly love to do the stream from the studio. But circumstances outside of our control mean we can't actually go to the studio at this moment in time. So we might have another one of the Invisible Mike streams tomorrow night where Oracle basically carries the entire show. But anyway, what I have done is I have written up the questions. Now, we all know that if you watch the stream, you get an answer. So today, I am going to give you an answer. Good morning, KB. Tariq, listen carefully. I'm going to choose one of the questions from tomorrow night's quiz, and I am going to give you the answer on this stream as promised. Question 24, unless they are changed by the Oracle when he does Jeopardy. Question 24, which main city building has a wolf swap skin? That's going to be the question tomorrow night on the quiz. That's question 24, okay? Now, unless you are really into Chronos and Wolf Swap and watched a lot of our videos about it, you're not going to know the answer. The options are factory, bank, or parliament. And the answer, and that only goes to the people watching this now, is it's a bank. There is a Wolf Swap skin on the bank in Main City. That is the answer. So, Tariq, you have no excuse to now get 0 in the quiz. There's 25 questions tomorrow, not 30, because we are going to try and do a little bit about Wolf Swap. Banter is coming to a close. They've got a lot of people have entered that. Also, Amplify version 2 is not too far off going live, and you might want to be involved with that. Good morning, KB. I hope you are well, if I've not already said that. Right then. That's pretty much it. Tomorrow night is the quiz night. I suppose we should go and have a look at some numbers. Now, I've called this Squeeze Me 2. Yesterday was called Squeeze Me because it was a Monday. I was expecting some price action. Rip us to the upside, rip us back to the downside. And what we did was we basically sidled up a little bit. 115 to 50. I believe market cap is still below 4. Yeah, still below 4 trillion on the market cap. Ethereum holding on. $4,260. Decent. XRP. Look at that. It's just eked itself back to $3. XRP is hanging on. Well, we'll see. We'll see if we hold. I don't think we are. Yesterday I said 250, 275. I think if we do sidle to the downside, maybe come down a little bit further on Bitcoin, then maybe we get back to 250, 275 on XRP. So, you know what? It might not hold. BNB, again, having a reasonable time of it, considering it doesn't move. Solana, 180. Deja Vu, hasn't moved since yesterday. Cardano at 92.5 cents. Pretty decent. I was expecting that to be down at about 80 cents. But look at the gain on Cardano in the last week. In fact, it's the top gainer in... Wow. It's the top gainer in almost the top 30 coins. More than Chainlink. Cardano is there. Chainlink is up at $24. They are changing a little bit about how Chainlink works, where they're going to start buying back the tokens using the fees from their multiple different chains. So I think Chainlink is going to rip. I am not listening to the $200 price target for Chainlink. Please don't listen to that either. That would give it an 8x from here, which would put it at over $110 billion. Now, again, I know we're talking about moving trains, but that would put it If nothing else moved today, that would put it at 5th. I don't think we're there yet. I still think $80 to $100 is decent for Chainlink. Again, only a 3 or 4x from where we are. So Chainlink has got hype. Again, is down a little bit. I'm not too sure where we go with hype. I don't know whether we're going to follow Ton. Remember Ton? Remember Ton when it was 8th? Now 21st. I don't know whether I'm expecting the same thing from hype. It's got slightly different tokenomics. It's got a kind of a buyback. It's got better, I suppose, price pressure, purchase pressure. So I don't know about that. OKX is up a little bit. So is Manta AB. Polygon. Are we going to see our $1 for Polygon? This is my worst performing coin. Absolutely awful performance by Polygon. I think I am down on the portfolio on Polygon about 50%. It's been crap. And it's the only one really that I picked that hasn't done well. But still, Polygon should not be at 25 cents. Sonic is up a touch. IOTA XRP, $3.01, as we've mentioned. Kronos is having a little bit of a recovery. Cardano, BNB. There's a lot of decent coins in the top 24-hour gainers. Losers, not many actually. Pump.fun, waste of trash, waste of time, garbage coin. Don't buy it. It's rubbish. It's going to move to its own chain. It's going to kill itself. I don't care what it does. It's a pump and dump program, and it's launched its own token to drag liquidity out of you. It's trash. There we go. I've said it. Not financial advice, of course. Sky is down. Injective, SPX 6900. Ton is down. Arbitrum is down a little bit today, but again, back at 50 cents. Not bad. We're going to talk about that in a bit. Aerodrome had its rip up. Got to 145 or something like that. That's going to come down a little bit. Radium still nowhere near $5 wherever it was a few months ago. That's decent. Nothing too much to worry about. Now remember, I say this. I'm going to say this at the start of every stream as well. Can you comment in chat every 10 minutes? And the reason is, if you don't comment, YouTube thinks that we're not here. Okay? So the more you comment, the better it is for us. And I don't want you to absolutely fill the chat, whatever it might be, but at least comment once in a while. Just say hello. Give me a love heart, something like that. Because I never ask. And the problem is that the more interaction in chat, the better it is for the algorithm to actually promote us to people. So also smash the like button. Also smash the follow button. There is actually something else that I'm going to tell you at the end of the stream with regards to giveaways. Crypto Warehouse Giveaways now has its own home on Telegram. I'm going to tell you about that at the end. Proof of weight versus proof of work. Transferring 200 kilos of gold. You need, that looks like Brian Shaw carrying gold. Transferring 200 Bitcoin. There he is, a little man on the sofa, silly hat on, sending himself 200 Bitcoin. So again, just a quick reminder that when we talk about lots of coins on here, we really are pro Bitcoin. We like other coins, of course we do. The same way that we don't simply live off tomatoes, even though they happen to be our favorite fruit. We still eat onions, we eat lettuce. We still talk about them. But as far as I'm concerned, if you don't hold any Bitcoin, you're doing it wrong. Plan B, will Bitcoin drop below $100,000 ever again? 62% say yes, 37% say no. This was going to be my poll question of the day, which I didn't do. I haven't had a poll question of the day. And the reason is, let me know in chat what you think. Do we think we're going to go below $100,000 again? Very simply, I think we are. And I don't think we're going to spend a long time down there because we don't have a long time left. But I do think we can wick below 100,000. And a wick means we spend a day, 12 hours, 6 hours below 100,000. I think we can. But I don't think that we're going to stay down there. Now, if you were to ask me this question in 4 months' time, and we're at 160, 170,000, again, I would struggle to see us getting too far below 100,000 at that price. 60% down would take us there. 50% down would take us there. 40% down. Now we're talking probably what we're actually going to do in this bear market. So I think that we are on the precipice of never going below 100,000 ever again. I think we will, and then I think we won't. And I had this conversation with you a long time ago. I think it was probably a year, 2 years ago, probably a year ago actually. And I think we're at $40,000 or $50,000. And I think I remember saying something along the lines of, this is the last time we're ever going to see $40,000 or $50,000. And now going to $40,000, $50,000 is unimaginable. And time moves incredibly slowly when you're on the inside, but when you're on the outside, time moves incredibly quickly when you're inside. When you're on the outside, it doesn't move that quickly. And a year is not a long time in assets. I think going below 100,000 now could very well be the last time we ever do it. And we might do it for a week, we might do it for a day, might do it for 2 weeks. But I think this is the very last time we go below $100,000, unless there is an almighty black swan. And again, I said the same thing at $40,000 or $50,000 for Bitcoin, and we never did. We never went back below. In fact, we went nowhere near it. So by the end of September, if we're at $110,000 or $105,000 for Bitcoin, I think we are looking at never going below $100,000 ever again. And these milestones, these are going to keep happening in the future. At some point, going to be at $200,000, $250,000 at some point in the future. And we're very likely to never go below 150,000 ever again. And the same will be said of 200,000. They're just milestones that we check off as we go through the appreciation in value of Bitcoin. You know, there are people, when we were at $40,000 and $50,000, saying that we were going to go to $15,000, and we never saw it. And those same people now will be telling you that we're going to go to $70,000. It's not going to happen. Those people that say $70,000 should be put in the same bracket as the people saying $500,000. Okay, they're extremists, right? The 0.1% are extremists. We're not going to do that. There'd have to be an almighty black swan, and even then, I'm not sure that would happen. Good morning, Simon. I hope you're well. Paul was my first and my sad love. Exactly. Good morning, Kishan. I hope you're well. And thank you for the comment, Tariq. So anyway, I genuinely think that we are never going to see 100,000 and below again after probably the end of this year. I just don't see it. Again, you can never say never, but I will say never. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Then move on very quickly. Now, again, I'm not associated with Lombard Finance in any way, shape, or form, but this is the next phase of crypto, and I try and bring one of these up every couple of weeks to give you an idea. LBTC is a liquid staking token. It's 1-for-1 with Bitcoin, I think. I don't know if it's appreciating in value. I haven't looked into it. I can't remember. It's a Bitcoin with yield, fully backed, institutionally secured, and powering DeFi. Join Lombard Lounge, episode 8, to deep dive into LBTC, the largest and only yield-bearing stablecoin, what it means for DeFi and institutions. And again, one of the videos that I made about this, I think there should be 2 versions of liquid Bitcoin. I think there should be accrual, value accrual, and then I think there should be income. So what that means is you have one that pays you a dividend, pays you for holding it, and then another one that appreciates in value over time and reflects the way that funds work that way, because there's a tax implication to it. Now, the reason I'm telling you about this is I don't think it would be a bad idea for you to jump on and see what these guys are talking about. Liquid staking tokens have come a long way in 2 or 3 years. 2 or 3 years ago, I would have told you to steer very, very, very well clear of anything like this. But Wrapped ETH, Wrapped Bitcoin, Wrapped Sol have come a long way. And I think the next evolution is yield-bearing stable coins. Yield-bearing Bitcoin, yield-bearing stable coins. We've got yield-bearing Bitcoin, I think, is the next evolution. And I think the likes of Binance, which already has one, they will offer more. I think all of the other crypto exchanges will offer them as well. It's the next thing, okay? When this happens, the demand for it will be incredible. There'll always be a risk, but there are ways to earn a yield without handing over your Bitcoin. There are non-custodial ways of earning a yield on Bitcoin. But this is something that you should listen into. I might not be there. It's at 1:30. Maybe I will. I'll pop in and listen in. But try and listen to Maple Finance. Try and listen to CoreDAO. Try and listen to Lombard. And try and get your head around yield-bearing Bitcoin. Because it's the next thing. So AI, obviously, is one of the next things, and real-world assets. But yield on your Bitcoin, it's the next thing. Okay, Bitcoin is a $2.2 trillion asset. It's going to have a yield option available to it. So keep an eye out on stuff like that. Again, I've got no association with Lombard whatsoever. 133 billion. Vanek says they still believe Bitcoin will rise to 180,000 by the end of the year. You know what? I'm on board with this one. We've covered a lot of these ridiculous price targets over the last couple of months on here. 250, 500, a million, 2.2 million, whatever it might be. And they're all ridiculous. I'm on board with this, but it's at the higher end of where I believe we can go. My first target for this year was 112,000. Luckily, we've broken that. That was my target for the end of this bull run. Now we need to probably look up towards 130, 150,000. Again, can we get to 180,000? Absolutely. Lots of things can happen in the next 4 months. Look at what's happened since Trump's come into power. It's been an incredible ride. So 180 is at the top end, but I'm not going to poo-poo this one. I think this is a distinct possibility. I would give it a 10 to 20% chance of happening, which is pretty high. And that's because the blow-off top will always be higher than I expect. Because I try to be conservative. Sometimes I'm not, but sometimes I can be. I don't think we're going to get a monthly candle below 100,000. I don't think we're going to get there. I don't think we are. It's not going to happen. 1.72 trillion China Merchants Bank subsidiary launches 24/7 Bitcoin trading in Hong Kong. You'll hear lots of stories about China not being in crypto, not doing this, not doing Bitcoin, whatever it might be. The conduit is Hong Kong. Everything goes through Hong Kong, Singapore. That's just how it works. All of the money and the wealth in China goes via Hong Kong. So if Hong Kong is offering 24/7 Bitcoin trading, China is in 24/7 Bitcoin trading. We know it. You know, it's just a facade. It's just pretense. You know. This is not real news, but I included it because I wanted people to know who might not know. China is and always has been in crypto. The reason they got rid of mining is very simply put, it was putting a massive strain on their power grid. So they moved it all to Kazakhstan or whatever it was. I can't remember the name, but I think it was Kazakhstan. And they own all the mining companies over there. So where does all the Bitcoin go? It goes back to China. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to work that out. I said this many, many times before. If you are a country with cheap electricity and China or America or somebody approaches you to mine in your country, you should take a percentage of the Bitcoin and not just get paid 6 cents per kilowatt hour because you are being fleeced left, right, and center. And that's what China did. They moved all the mining out. Okay, the mining rate dropped not for a very long period of time, couple of weeks, 6 weeks, and then it went straight back up again. Why? Because that's the length of time it took them to drive their miners from China, Kazakhstan, or whatever the other place was called. So, you know, just be aware that China is in Bitcoin. The same way that Russia is in Bitcoin. Everybody is in Bitcoin. And the people they don't want in Bitcoin are you. And at some point in the future, I am going to sit here and I am going to say something to you. And this will be to Tariq and to KB and to everybody else. And I'm going to say, I think it would be a good idea to get your Bitcoin off exchanges. And that day is the day that you have your Trezor or your Ledger or whatever it might be, and you move your Bitcoin onto one of those, and then you put it in a very, very safe place. And that day will come. The same way I never expected COVID, I'm expecting a day to come where certain countries are going to try and seize Bitcoin. And it sounds crazy. It happened with gold in America. It sounds crazy. You weren't allowed out of your house. And I have to expect the unexpected. And the unexpected is that countries will try and seize your Bitcoin, and they will create an emergency to do so. Okay? It sounds like a terrible conspiracy theory. I know. But it's better to be safe than sorry. What would be the point of you accumulating Bitcoin over this period of time, and then the government make you sell it to them for $150,000 or $200,000, and then in 3 or 4 years' time it's worth $2 million? How bad would you feel? Truth Social's Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF put on hold by the SEC. Everything's been put on hold by the SEC. Let's not worry about this. Now, this was the interesting one because it includes Crow, of all things. It has Bitcoin, Ethereum, I think Solana, XRP, and Crow in there. The deadline was August the 24th. It's now been pushed back to October the 8th. Can we see what's happening? Yesterday we spoke about the XRP ETFs. They're pushed back to the 18th, 19th, and 20th of October. So can we see what is happening? We are seeing an orchestrated collection of ETFs. And I believe that they're all going to go live pretty much simultaneously. And they are going to expect massive inflows. Now, this isn't the deadline for go live. This is the deadline that they have set, after which they will give a decision and then give a date when it can happen. This isn't the date it's going to go live. It's the date for the decision, which is the 8th of October. So, first 2 weeks of October should be spicy. Okay, certainly Madras level spice October time. The SEC will have to approve, reject, or initiate further proceedings on the proposal. The agency stated that the extension was necessary to allow for a more thorough evaluation of the rule change. This is, of course, the one that's owned by Trump. Did you hear about the administration taking a 10% cut of Intel? I don't know what that's about. That's a really weird move. So Intel is going to be owned, or 10% of Intel is going to be owned by what? The American government? I don't understand that one. The ETF filed in June by Donald Trump's Truth Social would allocate 75% of its holdings to Bitcoin, 25% to Ethereum. I don't know. Whoa. I thought this was... Is this a different one? Leading to cryptocurrencies. Oh, here we go. A broader blue chip crypto ETF that would have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and Crow. That's the one that we're interested in. Oh, don't tell me it's frozen. Anyway, I'll close this down and I'll open a new window since it appears to have died. I just read then somebody was holding 1200 XRP. That is pretty decent. If you got that at 30 or 40 cents and we run to $5, you've made a good return on that. A very good return. I very nearly sold my XRP because we've got XRP in one of our portfolios, the $15,000 portfolio. And I nearly sold it and thought, no, this is supposed to be the end of the bull run. So I didn't sell it. But I was tempted to. And I'm tempted to now. I'm tempted to sell it at $5. I'm tempted to sell it at $4. Tempted to dollar cost average out. May is holding 1,200. I think you'd be looking at getting $5,000 to $6,000 out of that minimum. And I think that would be a fantastic return for whatever you bought it at. And again, the one thing that I would be very careful of is holding on too late. Missing the bull run and then trying to sell it on the way down. That would be my biggest concern. And I have done that in 2017 and 2021. I have done that. We are going to hit the bull run. And you are going to think you're Warren Buffett. And you are going to have more crypto money than you've ever had in your life. And it is going to go to the moon. And you're going to believe everybody but me. We're going to have a $100 XRP, a $500,000 Bitcoin, a $25,000 Ethereum. And you're going to be holding on, and you're not going to look at the date. And the date ticks 1 second past November the 30th. And it strikes midnight, and it becomes the 1st of December. And all of a sudden, everything just goes to zero. And you're like, why didn't I sell? At the end of every bull run, I don't want you to have any regrets. And that comes from somebody that has been kicked in the nuts in 2021 and 2017. I did sell a little bit in 2021. Yes, I did. And I paid for my Christmas in 2021, and I paid for my wife's birthday in 2021. I paid for that with some dollar cost average profits in the summer. Just gone, beginning of the summer. I sold some of those coins that were way, way, way up. I sold, took profits again. You got to take profits, and by all means, hold your XRP for the next 10 years. By all means, hold everything you've got for the next 10 years. I'm only talking about those trying to get out at the end of this bull run. Okay? I'm not saying that XRP could go down to 50 cents and then never go back up again. If it follows the cycle and it goes to $5, it's more than likely going to come down to $1 or $2 in the next bull run, in the next bear market. And this is the dangerous headline that I've brought up a few times. Charles Hoskinson has said it, amongst others. Yuga Labs CEO on the crypto market. This cycle is different. Okay, now, this article would not be out of place in 2021 or 2017, because in both of those cycles, we had people saying exactly the same thing. This cycle is different. Now, until we find out that it is, it isn't. And that means end of the year, you get out. Next year, you start the midterms. I think the midterms is traditionally where the markets start to come down in America. If the market comes down in America, why is Bitcoin going to continue to go up? We could have recession. Inflation could raise its head again because rates have been cut. There's all kinds of problems next year. Some people are saying we're going to have a recession in America. Other people saying we're not going to have a recession in America. The entire world is built on debt. Something's going to give, and it will give next year. That's why you've got to get out, in my opinion. Until we find out that it runs for another few months to February or March, then maybe I'm wrong. But these are incredibly dangerous headlines to believe. Yuga Labs wants its other side game to be the Roblox or Fortnite of crypto, and isn't giving up despite the ongoing blockchain gaming lull. Part digital social space, part video game, with the goal of making user-generated oriented. This cycle is different. I feel like every crypto cycle is a little bit like a revenge on the excesses of the last one, he said in an interview. It's a weird cycle in that, like the quote-unquote consumer crypto part of things is actually insanely quiet, which is true, except the last few weeks we've started to see Google searches pick up a little bit. North America is coming on-chain via treasury companies, ETFs, and then it's like just the Zoomers that are coming on-chain, like meme coins and Pump.fun, he said. Things are much quieter on the gaming front. That is true, because gaming is dead in crypto. There's only really one game that I have seen that really works, and that's Star Atlas. And I am still yet to be fully on board with the fact that that's going to be a massive success. There are others which are more, not contrived, which are being forced through. And again, they're not real games. They're kind of like Civilization. Really all the kind of games. And I don't think we're going to ever have Web3 games. I think we're going to have games with Web3 elements. I expect next year to see Grand Theft Auto with a Web3 wallet. Absolutely. Well, isn't that what we want? Adoption? I think what we're trying to do is I think we're trying to pull the cart up the hill with the donkey sitting in the cart. We've already got the donkey. We've already got the cart. All we need to do is get in the cart and let the donkey take us to the top of the hill. Okay? We've already got gamers. We've already got games. All we need to do is attach a wallet and give the gamers their NFTs. Okay? It worked in Diablo 8 years ago. Diablo allowed you to sell your assets in-game for a very short period of time because they got farmers and whatever else it might be. And it was a massive success. You look at CSGO, another times game that you can sell skins. We're already there. but we're trying to do it the wrong bloody way. Do it the right way and it will succeed. And this crap isn't going to work. This is a vanity project. Other side, yeah. Okay, that's all I'll say in it. But with regards to it, I do think he is right. Every cycle is different. But it doesn't mean that every cycle has a completely different time frame. Every cycle so far has had the same time frame. 4-year cycle, 18 months after the halving, game over. I'm sticking to that until we see what is going to change the direction. Maybe it's the ETFs. Maybe it's the ETFs coming on board. Maybe we hit October and we absolutely fly. We're going to have an XRP ETF, a Solana ETF. We're going to have Trump's ETF, which is going to sell to the high moon. We're going to have game theory. We're going to have all of these things are coming in October. And I don't believe for 1 minute that the combined effort of all of that and rate cuts is going to lead to a sell the news event. The sell the news event will come, but I don't believe all of that coupled together is going to keep us at $4 trillion. I think it's going to ramp us right up. But we've got to be careful. We've got to be careful we don't get sucked into this trap. And I have had the same dour, miserable expression at 123,000 as I had at 49,000. Okay, this is all you're going to get. This is it, okay? There's no filters on here. You're not going to get Sydney Sweeney talking to you about this. Yeah, you basically need to wear thick, heavy armor to protect yourself. Right then, moving very quickly on. Arbitrum price eyes 50% rally. Can DeFi growth keep it alive? The price has crossed 51 cent, holding a 3-month gain of 32%. Net USD inflows are rising, but whale accumulation remains missing. 50% rally to $1 tell is possible if DeFi activity keeps growing and a 50% support holds, which is kind of just about doing. It's one of the few assets that's holding up while most of the market is bleeding. This alone is big news for a token that has been moving sideways for weeks, if not months. Big inflows, small whales, and mixed on-chain signs. Arbitrum is showing strong DeFi activity. The wallet activity has gone up 12.5%. I'm keeping my eye on Arbitrum. Even more telling is the net USD inflow data. Arbitrum is the second best chain right now in terms of real money coming in. Just behind Ethereum, shows investors are not just using it, they're trusting it. There is still a catch, however. We're not seeing large whales accumulate. I think the tokenomics, and again, this is one of those projects where the tokenomics and the project itself are misaligned. And it happens with all things. And Maple is a perfect example. Maple is going up and to the right. Near enough at a 45 degree. In fact, maybe at a 60 degree angle. The price of Syrup, however, is still at, what, 45 cents? And it has been at 60 odd cents. So the disparity is there for all to see. And I think the problem with Arbitrum stems, if we go all the way back, and if I could bring the chart up. I'll try and bring the chart up. Show you the issue that I've got with Arbitrum. And I remember distinctly talking to Tariq about this. I spoke to Tariq about this a year ago, Tariq. 18 months ago. When did we have the conversation about the token unlock for Arbitrum? It was a long time ago. And the reason is they unlocked 74% of their supply. Is it that one? Have a little look. It might not be. It might be. Is this Arbitrum? This looks like Arbitrum. Right. So let's go to have a look at the weekly, just to kind of show you what happened. Because this is why tokenomics are so important. Let's be honest. I've even got my lines from that long ago. Okay, so this, I believe, was the token unlock, which must have happened probably around March last year, which is probably about right. So we were at $1. We were in this range here, and there was a token unlock, and it was 74% of the existing supply, I believe. And if you look at where we were, and I remember we were about $1. We were above $1, sorry. We were about $1.20, $1.30, something like that. We were about here. And what's happened with Arbitrum is it's just struggled. Now that was the pump that we had at the end of last year. And even that didn't get us above $1.20. Okay? And the issue is the circulating supply was diluted so incredibly much that it pretty much killed the price action. Now, what is interesting, if I borrow some of these lines that we're not going to see for a while, and we go all the way down here, this was listed on Binance, I imagine, at 50 cents. And that was 2.5 years ago. It was listed on Binance. I think this is Binance. Yeah, Binance. So 2.5 years ago, this was listed on Binance at 50 cents. And in 2.5 years, we are back at the price of the listing on Binance. That's what we've done, okay? And this is where the problem is with projects, tokenomics. And this is what is absolutely important for you to know. A project can be brilliant, but if the tokenomics are wrong, you are not going to get any gains from that token. XRP unlocks an awful lot of tokens every single month. Chronos Chain unlocks an awful lot of Crow every month. Now, they are not being put into circulation, I know. The point of the matter is the circulating supply and the total supply, if they're not the same, then you are going to see inflation of supply and deflation of price. If you are looking at a project like Arbitrum, it has DeFi. It has a lot of volume coming to it. It seems to be the DeFi layer 2 of choice. Okay? So it's getting busy. The only time this token is going to really ramp up is with more and more adoption. So when it was talking about the wallet increase up 12% in a month or 90 days, whatever it was just then, we need to see the wallet usage up by 400 or 500% to see this price really move. Because if we don't see 1 million, 2 million, 5 million people starting to use Arbitrum and sucking up this supply that's still swilling around, then the price is never going to recover. 50 cents. I mean, I think I said at the time, I don't think I said it's dead. I think I said at the time, it's going to really struggle to absorb this. Now, you can look at any currency and any token in the world and you can see a similar chart if they dilute it to this point. Look at the dollar. The dollar was diluted by 30% in 6 months. And what have we seen? 40% worth of inflation. Same in the UK, same in the Eurozone. If you print tokens and put more tokens into the circulation, the value of those tokens falls, and therefore things cost more. So if a loaf of bread cost 1 ARB token 2 years ago, it now costs 3 ARB token a day. If a loaf of bread cost you €1 18 months ago, with the same level of dilution, it would now cost you €3 today. So when you look at the money in your hand, it's not the fact that it's fallen because of... it's not because the prices of things have increased. It's because the value of what you've got in your hand has fallen. And I say this point all the time because it's really important to switch the way you think about things. Things don't cost more. The money you have is worth less because your government has printed that money. That's what they've done. And Arbitrum did the same thing to this chain. And it absolutely... So if we have a look, this is... Okay. BD and PD. Before dilution, healthy, decent. Post dilution, just going down and to the right. Okay? That's what happens. Now, they will probably recover, but it's going to take an awfully long time for that to recover, in my humble opinion. And that is why I say you can love a project and hate its token. And this is the perfect example. I love Arbitrum. I'm not buying that token. Not in a million years am I buying Arb. Not in a million years. Is it going to go to $2 or $3 in the bull run? Absolutely, most probably, of course it will, because most things are going to go up a little bit. But I'm not buying that, not the tokenomics of that. Jupiter, on the other hand, for example, as another example, they burned 30% of the supply. And not only did they do that, they have daily buybacks. And over time, that's going to drain the supply out of the system, and it's going to force the price up. That is how you need to look at stuff. Right then, time for a Web3 reality check. Which altcoin sectors are really delivering? This is an interesting topic. I picked this, and I haven't read this article because I want to have my own reaction on camera. XCN, very good coin. 10 months ago, Tariq. Yeah, probably about right. Price prediction for Crow. I don't think we're going to break 60 cents. And I don't think we're going to go anywhere near $1. I think 60 cents is good. That's a 4x from here. Things can change, however. Things can change. The institutional demand from the ETFs, great. But that's coming in October. We've only got 4 weeks left after that. Long term, higher, but I can't see us going above 60 cents. Same with a lot of different coins that haven't really pumped. I mean, Crow is up from 5 or 6 cents. It's now at 15, 16 cents. So it has done a 3x already. And if it did go from 5 cents, 60 cents, that's a 12x. Because you've got to time it from the bottom to the top, not from the previous all-time high to the next all-time high, in my opinion. So if Bitcoin goes to 180,000, as the article said before, Bitcoin's 10x from the bottom. If Crow 12x's from the bottom, it's outperformed Bitcoin. But I don't see it going any higher than that. I just don't. And it's an emissions-based token, isn't it? It's emitted all the time. Where's the buy pressure on the token? I love it, by the way. Obviously love the chain, but time for a Web3 reality check. Web3 remains the buzzword. Yes, yes, yes. There's a picture of a man looking at lots of different coins, looking very confused. He wouldn't be confused if he watched Crypto Warehouse, subscribed to Crypto Warehouse, and follow us on X, however. Web3 daily activity is 24 million people. 24 million people. Out of a world population of 8 billion. 24 million people. DeFi leads transaction counts with 240 million weekly. Yet Ethereum gas usage is now dominated by real-world assets, DePIN and AI. Smart contract platforms, coins, yield generating DeFi. RWA tokens outperform the market. AI and DePIN lag despite strong narratives. I think that's fair. I think DeFi, real-world assets are probably the two standout contenders, but AI is going to come around the corner. And again, going to kick Danny in the nuts, and he just has to have his odd piece on to protect himself. AI and social dApps gain adoption. I wouldn't go near social dApps either. dApp Radar Q2 report shows steady daily wallet activity, 24 million, yet a shift in sector dominance is emerging. Crypto gaming remains the largest category with 20% market share, down from Q1. DeFi has also slipped. In contrast, social and AI-related dApps are gaining traction. Farcaster leads social with 40,000 daily, and AI protocols like Virtual Protocol are standing out. 1,900. I mean, these are absolute rookie numbers, aren't they? Think about it. 26 million people are in crypto. 26 million. That's like the population of what? I don't even know. I can't even think of a place small enough in the UK that's got 26 million people. Isle of Man's got what? Isle of Man got 100,000 people or 50,000 people. 26,000 people. It's less than the number of people in Gibraltar. Sorry, 26,000 is nothing. These are not big numbers. Now, when it comes to the social stuff, Kaito and Cookie, they're the two that I think are driving it. Farcaster, it's mentioned there. But they're the ones that are driving the kind of the buzz on X at the minute. DeFi is always going to hold its place. Real-world assets are always going to hold their place. And I think AI is going to come through strongly when they find enough use cases. Glassnode data reveals DeFi, despite being Ethereum's key sector, now accounts for 11% of its gas consumption. NFTs, which used a sizable share of gas back in 2022, is 4%. The other category, however, has surged to 58% today from 25% in 2022. That is DePIN. I'm not a fan of that term. Not a fan of DePIN. Never really sold on it. It's one of the oldest tech sectors, in my opinion. Data centers, distributed data centers, distributed networks, been around for 40, 50 years, and now they've called it DePIN. I don't buy into that one. Real world asset is the key, but remember things about real world assets. It already exists. That money that is coming into crypto is not new money. It's the same money that exists in reality that's coming in. This is why I've been saying for a while, if you've got Ondo and Maple and all of the other real world asset projects, and Ondo brings on board $50 billion worth of tokenized treasuries, and then as it onboards that 50 billion, it onboards the 50,000 users of 50,000 holders of that 50 billion. They're not doing anything other than putting it onto a blockchain. So to say that the real world asset sector has grown is a bit disingenuous. It's just moved from offline to online. Is my camera moved, by the way? Give me a second. I seem to be slowly sliding across the screen. Kind of like earthquake going on. There we go. Back. I have returned, even though I was like idling that way for a while. So anyway, so I think it's a bit disingenuous to say that real world assets are new funds. They're not. They're just coming online. And real world assets are going to dwarf pretty much everything. The sector itself is pretty much going to dwarf quite a lot of things. Simply because it's so huge. Tokenizing treasuries, tokenizing funds, tokenizing stocks, bonds, everything being tokenized. It's technically not crypto, and that's where I would draw the line. So does price follow Web3 narratives? Smart contract platforms had the strongest gains. HBAR, XLM, they are up. Pendle, Curve, DAO, the top 10 real world. Jasmy, Ether is up. Of course, OSUG, which is Ondo. XDC is up. Again, big coins there. So what I would say is, I think if you got into real world assets, DeFi tokens, DePIN projects, and AI as a strategy, that's not a bad strategy. The same way that getting into all of the ETFs or all the crypto that are going to be in ETFs is not a bad strategy. Getting into all of the tokens that have bank adoption is not a bad strategy. They're not bad strategies. They're not my strategy, but they're not a bad strategy. But you need to have some idea of what you're doing. You're going to have to buy real world assets, tokens or AI or DePIN or whatever. You've got to have an idea of what you're going to go into. So once you've got your Bitcoin and Ethereum and maybe your Solana or XRP sorted out, is there any other sector that you like? That's what you've got to kind of look at. I'm, of course, incredibly bullish on on quite a lot of sectors, but it doesn't mean I hold every single token. That's important to understand as well. You can't and shouldn't buy everything that you like. You wouldn't go into a supermarket and buy every single thing that you like. You wouldn't go into a clothes shop and buy every single thing that you like. You should pick the things that you like the most and then invest in those projects. And then if something changes in the future, swap them out. Doesn't, you hold them for the long run. 3 altcoins at risk of major liquidations in the 3rd week of August. Solana faces dual liquidation risks. Analysts warn of a $170 dip before recovery, with over 1.1 billion in shorts at risk if Sol rebounds. Dogecoin traders eye heavy liquidations as ETF hopes rise. 190 million in shorts and 176 in longs vulnerable. And Chainlink's balanced liquidation shows equal risk 22 and 27, reflecting whale activity, rising exchange reserves. Again, I said this yesterday. There I think there's going to be a short squeeze. And I think there's going to be a short squeeze soon. And the reason is that when people expect us to go up, longs get liquidated. When people expect us to go down, shorts get liquidated because the price does the opposite of what we expect. So people are calling for $100,000, $96,000 Bitcoin. That's not going to be today, but people will put shorts in expecting us to go there. And the more people put shorts in, the more chance the price is going to go up. So I think Ethereum and Bitcoin especially have got a lot of shorts in place at the minute. Solana is looking like there could be a lot of short liquidations to come, which is good because that means the price will go up. But if it doesn't, price could go to 163, I think, not 161. But again, these are only the prices that Solana and Doge and Chainlink will go to based on taking out the longs and shorts. That's kind of how these things work. It's kind of what price does Solana have to go to liquidate the shorts. That's probably... my cursor gone. There we go. This is probably the key sentence in this section here. If we go back to $200, 1.1 billion in short positions could be lost, but only 646 million will be wiped out if we go to $161. So if I was a betting man, I'd say we go back over $200. Doge, not interested in Doge. Chainlink's an interesting one. I said to you the other day, when we were $18 and $19, we're going to blink and it's at $25. We blinked, it was $25. But that kind of price movement is going to build up a lot of shorts. Now, according to this article, they're fairly balanced, okay, which is pretty decent. So it will go below $22, 85 million will be liquidated. If it goes above $27, 85 will be liquidated. 85 million will be liquidated. So basically, there's no real edge for me on Link. The edge for me is on Sol. And I would be looking at Sol going, you know what? 1.1 billion in Sol liquidations. That's a pretty hefty amount. And I would put, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would put my money on Sol breaking $200, liquidating that 1.1 billion or whatever is left of it, because obviously people close. Maybe it takes out 600, 700 million, and then the price comes back down again. So that would be my bet. But it's a good indication of what people think, because I always go against the grain. Because every time we go with the grain, Bitcoin does the opposite, and the market does the opposite. So it's best to be quite contrary sometimes. The same way we were talking about going below 100,000 when we were at 122,000 the week. We're in a range. We've been in that range, and we're going to be in that range for a very long time. And as long as we stay within that range, nothing else changes. But as Bitcoin goes up and down a little bit, Sol, Ethereum, actually, Sol, XRP, and the other altcoins, every time Bitcoin goes up and down a little bit, it's got a very comfy chair. Everything else is being bounced around the inside of that cockpit. It's just getting thrown around. So Bitcoin moves 2 or 3%, Sol could move 10%. So it's always worth keeping an eye on them. 3 reasons why Pump.Fun could be headed for a full-blown crash. I love stuff like this because I am not a fan of Pump.Fun. I don't like the project concept at all. Let me just very quickly go over here. Go back over here. Hello, Sky is incredibly late. You are incredibly late, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Pump.Fun is a full-blown crash. Again, I mean, I think the problem is that I think it's a cash grab. And because it's a cash grab and they're going to move chain and they're doing all of these things that don't need to be done, I just think it's an absolute scam. Now, unless they've got a plan, which they very well could have, I don't see any reason to buy this coin. So it's gone down 80%. The cash flow is drying up, but it's at 4.7x annualized revenue. Could Pump.Fun be primed for a sharp sell-off? The on-chain and revenue metrics aren't encouraging. July's monthly revenue dropped to $25 million. That's 80% off the $130 million peak The launch pad is bleeding top line. Fewer projects are minting new tokens, cash flow is drying up, and yet it trades at 4.7 times its revenue. What does that mean? It means the price of the token is above and beyond the value of what the project is actually worth. So if it's worth 1 billion, as it looks like it is today, it's actually got a value of about 200 to 250 million, something like that. There we go. It annualizes it to 300 million. That is the revenue. So again, it's just not worth looking at this. It's running on fumes. The token, priced like it's booming, is up 30% this month, even outpacing. It's crap. It's absolute crap. Don't go near this coin. Pump is sitting on a risky setup. Weak revenue, stalled growth, and extreme supply concentration leave it highly vulnerable to any drop in activity. With the token trading well above what it should be worth, a minor correction is going to basically crush it. Again, this is trash. This could be one of those coins we turn around and say they extracted $1 billion worth of value from Solana and then basically walked away with it, which is, I think, what they're doing. So again, I would not buy Pump.Fun. And if anything, maybe it's a good idea to short Pump.Fun. But again, not financial advice. I won't be doing that. But again, you know, maybe it goes up a little bit. Dump on it. Short it. It's trash. It's absolute trash. Just keeping an eye on my phone. Making sure everybody is in here. Do I have any predictions on Track AI? I do not have any on that, I'm afraid. XCN, good coin. Absolutely, totally agree. Sydney Sweeney. Yeah, maybe I'll just get one of those filters that makes me look and sound like Sydney Sweeney. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that has to be the plan. To get more viewers. Who knows? Maybe, Tariq. Maybe. I don't think me putting lipstick and a wig on is going to work, though. Crypto sponsorship in football hits 565 million as clubs embrace digital finance. Football clubs will embrace anything that pays them enough money. Fan tokens, NFTs, and blockchain payments are transforming player transfers and fan engagement, according to a new report. This is trash. Fan tokens, garbage. Football club NFTs, garbage. It's all crap. This was around in 2021 and it was crap. And it's crap in 2025. It's garbage. Don't touch anything to do with these tokens. They are a net negative. All they do is extract value from crypto. They add nothing. Okay? They are worthless NFTs. The tokens are trash. The company behind it, Socio, are trash. It's garbage. Okay? And I don't care what this has got to say. 20% year-on-year increase and mirrors the broader adoption of decentralized finance and digital assets with DeFi value rising 260. We don't care about that. Crypto's role in sports has been slowly shifting from short-term buzz to long-term partnerships. Chili's, crap. Andre Morano, Director of Partnerships, Sports-Focused Blockchain. It's garbage. The report highlighted several... well, now I know that it's his report. I don't give a monkey's what he's got to say. Fan tokens, non-fungible tokens, and blockchain-based games let fans participate in club governance, earn rewards, and access VIP experience. That is a lie. They earn nothing and access VIP experiences. So 200 or 100,000 people hold this token, and one of them gets to meet Cristiano Ronaldo. You would have better odds playing the lottery. Crypto and football are deeply community-driven. Crypto's philosophy is built on decentralization. Much like the strong roots, culture, and global fan bases of football, the intersection makes... This is just propaganda. B2B in play, final note 2018... Don't care about that one. Bitpanda, Europe-based asset platform, unveiled a new partnership with Arsenal to become the official crypto trading partner. The governance body FIFA is currently exploring blockchain-based football games and also building its own blockchain. Very good. B2B predicts that crypto becomes more integrated into global finance. Its role in sports will expand. Now, do I think it's a good idea for Binance to be on the shirt of Ronaldo? Yes. I do. It's exposure. I'm fully on board with that. Do I think you should go and buy tokens associated with your football club? No, they're crap. They're garbage. They're a waste of time. They're a waste of your money. Don't go anywhere near them. Unless you want to hold some of your football club's tokens for a vanity reason, like you can say to your mates, oh, I've gone and bought Arsenal, right? Fine. But when your mates buy it and it goes down 60%, you'll have to explain why they've got this crap in their wallet. They're worthless. They don't hold value. They don't give anything back. All they do is suck out the money from from crypto into their own pockets. Okay? They're a drain. There is a delineation between sponsoring a football club, as we've seen with Tether and Juventus, who now are part owners. There is a distinct difference between Binance being associated with Ronaldo, which is for brand exposure. There's a difference between that and you being sucked in. Because all they are doing is saying, oh, Tariq, you're a VIP Arsenal fan. We love you, Tariq. Buy some of these tokens, Tariq, because we want you to show us how much you love our company, our football club, not company. We're not taking your money, but buy the football club token. Tariq goes and buys the token, value goes down. Chile gets its cut, football club gets its cut. Why are they involved? They want the money. Why Chile is involved? They want the money. There is no reason to own them. Top 5 tokens that I would hold for the end of November are going to be so boring. They're going to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and Cardano. And then if you want coins from underneath that category, in a different category, I would certainly be looking at Chainlink. I would certainly be looking at maybe even Hyperliquid. Maybe. I'd certainly look at Sui because that has all of the marketing behind it. AVAX will do pretty well. Probably missed the load. And then get some real world asset tokens. Get some Syrup. Syrup is going great guns. So that's what I would go for. Greek follows Salah. I watched a really good interview with Salah the other day. He was talking about his favourite goal, players he was up against, stuff like that. He's one of those players that you would love to have at your football team, in your football club. I really do like Salah. But of course, even though I'm a Stockport fan, I follow Manchester United and he plays for Liverpool, so I can't like him that much, Tariq. Maybe if he came to play for Man United, maybe I'd like him more. Good morning, Rav. You've signed in as we are about to sign off. So, I'm going to go now. I am not back tomorrow morning. As you can see on the screen, quiz night is tomorrow night. So we're streaming tomorrow night, not tomorrow day. I did say as well that there is a giveaways Telegram group. I have made a Telegram group for all of the giveaways that we do because our existing Telegram group is useless. I put giveaways in there. Nobody reads them because they're all drowned in everything else. So we have a Crypto Warehouse giveaways Telegram group. And I am going to send a few of you a link to it because it's only just started. There's only a few things in there. We do pretty much weekly quiz nights. 3 out of 4 Wednesdays a month we do a quiz. Mew, Wolf Swap, Maple Finance. We do giveaways. What's that? $50 a week? $50 a week? We then have the stuff that we do with BC, where we give away BC tokens every weekend. There's another $50 a week. So we're giving away at the minute $80 to $100 a week in giveaways. And they're being lost on the people that watch us every day because you don't see the giveaways. So nobody sees the predictions or anything else like that. So they're all lost. So I'm making a group, not for chatting in, it's for me to post the giveaway and for you to know that it's there. You don't have to participate. There's no other way for me to tell you because people aren't reading them. In fact, if you go to the Crypto Warehouse OG group, you will see that I was giving everybody in there free BC tokens. And I posted that up yesterday and nobody saw it. Okay, so I'm making a specific group for giveaways because I think people are just they're missing them. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. I am off. I will see you all tomorrow night. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night. If I don't see you tomorrow night, I will be on the microphone and the Oracle will be on camera. But this is tomorrow night. That is tomorrow night. Okay? Make sure you don't miss that. And I'll send you the link to Rick, yes. Right then, thanks everybody. I'll see you tomorrow night. Adios. Take care, everybody.